What was it like getting that phone call that said, "Hey, we've got a liver for you"?
I cried. I literally cried. I broke down. My knees gave out from underneath me because I had worked so hard to get on that list.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman,
And if you were just
Logan
trying to deter
Crawford.
investigators, they now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving deep into one of the most incredible survival stories you'll ever hear. A journey through stage 4 cancer, not once, but twice, liver failure, and multiple near-death experiences. Today's guest is David Reynard. He is the author of an amazing book. It is called Stronger Than Before: Surviving Medical Tragedy and Discovering Life's Second Act. In the book, he shares the raw truth about facing terminal illness, overcoming chronic pain, and finding purpose after tragedy. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. David, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
It's good to have you on the show. Good to see you looking healthy and happy here today. That's inspiring to all of us because you have battled hard over these years to stay healthy and to stay strong. Take us back to that moment when you got that terrible news, when the doctor told you you had stage 4 cancer.
I had battled for 2 years after losing my father. Started getting sick, and I kept going, getting tested, and being told I had a little bit of cirrhosis and nothing more. And then 2 years into it, I switched hospitals, and they came back into the room and told me I had a 2-inch mass in my liver, needed to do a biopsy. Complications happened, and I ended up sepsis 4 days later after the biopsy in ICU for 6 weeks, where I died twice from multi-drug resistant sepsis. And then 2 weeks in the hospital with recovery after ICU, and then I flew to Minnesota Mayo Clinic, where I went through their regimen of tests to be given the diagnosis: stage 4 liver cancer, liver failure, and about 30 days to live. So
Amazing.
my heart sunk,
Yeah.
my world spiraled. I was already in chronic pain by that time, being pushed around by a 19-year-old friend of mine who is like an adopted niece all over Minnesota. She made it an effort to not make it all medical, so she pushed me about 2.5 miles in my wheelchair up a hill to go watch a movie at the local theater. And her and the sisters, the ones I call my sisters that went with me for my transplant, I owe them the utmost gratitude, only next to my donor.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. And you got the stage 4 cancer diagnosis twice?
I got the first diagnosis August of 23, and received my cancer treatment in September, which I found odd because I was supposed to be already dead by then.
Yeah.
And then I was cancer free January of 24. And then August 8th of 24, I received the diagnosis that the cancer had come back and I had a blood clot in my chest.
Awful. Awful. Where do you find the determination, the strength, the grit to keep on going when you're getting those kind of diagnoses and you're feeling that kind of pain, and the cure sometimes is as unpalatable as the disease?
Honestly, if it wasn't for therapy that I went through and AA, because I am a sober alcoholic, I've been sober now 2 years, 4 months, and 28 days. And the lessons learned and therapy in AA about gratitude and counting your blessings. That got me through. And then it sounds corny, but I had a cardinal that sat outside my window from morning to dusk every day that I was bedridden and sang to me.
Yeah.
And that gave me something to concentrate on besides the pain.
Amazing how you can transport yourself away from that pain, away from yourself, when you have something beautiful from nature outside your window, like a cardinal singing. And that was, I think, God's little gift to you to say,
No,
keep on
and I
going.
give God praise every day because, two deaths, almost around 17 near deaths. I was not in this alone. I
Yeah.
had God beside me all the way. I had my friends and family. I worked as a customer service associate for a big box store. And
Mm.
throughout this, I've had 16,000 customers that were with me side by side that checked on me every day.
Wow.
When I came back after the first diagnosis, I was gone for 8 months. I came back and there was 11,000 customers. I picked up another 5,000 plus last year.
Mm.
Working through the first 4 months, I was still in chronic pain until I started working out at the gym and doing resistance training and weightlifting. And that broke all the tendons and everything loose that had tightened up through being bedridden. And I was averaging working out 4 to 6 times a week, walking about 25 miles a week with work. And I learned to fight it all with humor, a smile on my face, humor in my heart, and a fire in my belly, as one of my customers told me, who got diagnosed last November with stage 4 bladder cancer. And he's alive today, cancer free,
Yeah.
because he tackled it the same way, laughing at himself, laughing at the situation. And laughter is a number one cure. I mean, even through my deepest pain, I made other people smile.
Yeah.
I made cracks at myself. I made cracks in front of the nurses because I was determined not only to, I wasn't going to be a number. I was
Yeah.
going to be a name. They
Yeah.
were going to know me by name. They were going to know my story
Yeah.
to humanize the situation,
Yeah.
not statistic wise. So I ended up coming back from Arizona after the transplant.
Mm.
I spent 6 weeks and 10 days in the hospital, then 6 weeks in recovery out there, where I did 5 mountain hiking trails while I was out there with 37 staples in my stomach.
Oh,
My first one was 15 days after transplant, and that was 6 miles.
amazing. Amazing.
And everybody's looking at me like you're nuts. I'm like, well, the doctor said the only thing I could do for exercise was walk. So I walked everywhere.
Yeah, I'll say in quite a few miles. Uh, what was your experience when you had your near-death experiences or your clinical death experiences? Did you see the light? Did you have any of that stuff?
Actually, for 2 years, I did not recall any of it. I think it was God's way or my mind's way of, letting my body heal first. And in the middle of August, I had a PTSD moment, and both deaths came flying back to me within a 4 hour period
Mm.
that shook me for a good 5 days because every time I smelt something that was back in that time span, I would have a flashback. I would go into it, but I recall, you know, them trying to save my life. I remember the compressions. I remember, floating away, seeing some light, and them being jerked right back into my body,
Mm.
back into the pain.
Yeah.
The smell of the drainage tubes in my abdomen from trying to get the infection out of me. And it's one thing to know that you've gone through surviving death, but to remember it is a whole nother story. And my coworkers, my friends, my customers all ask me, how do I manage to keep going? with it, with all these new pop-ups. And I
Mm.
said, I look at it this way. Everything I've gone through, God has placed there for me to experience so that I can help somebody else
Mm.
go through something similar or maybe even the same thing.
Yeah.
A loss of a parent. I've lost both of my parents now in 4.5 years.
Mm.
I've died myself. I've conquered basically three terminal diagnoses, survived a transplant. I took a month time today and wrote my letter off to Mayo Clinic to see if the family of my donor is interested in knowing more.
Mm. Yeah. That's very kind of you because he or she lives in you, which is wonderful that that person's sacrifice has given you life. Let's go back to your transplant time. Obviously, at one point, the doctor said the only thing that's going to save you is a transplant. Transplant lists can be long. Also,
Uh,
qualifying for a transplant when you've had a history of alcoholism can be difficult. So tell us about that part of the story.
I was going for weekly drug testing. I had to go urinate into a cup every week. I had to go through group therapy, individual therapy, AA, document everything, and submit that. They had put me on opioids for my pain when I was bedridden, which I had to come off of. By the time I went April of 24 and they told me I had to come off of them completely, I was down to taking maybe one pill every 7 to 10 days instead of 3 pills a day because I did not want to substitute one addiction for another. So I was very adamant in not wanting to be put on opioids in the first place. And I came back from that appointment, went through 4 more weeks of urine tests to show that I was off the opioids. I had hit the gym. I got home on a Thursday, and then on Monday, I had a gym membership, signed it for a year. That's how determined I was to live. That I wasn't going to waste money for a year's membership and not survive.
Mm.
And my one coworker, he's a boss and one of my superiors. He had been at me for months to go work out with him at the gym. He's young enough to be my son, and but that didn't make any difference to him. He got me exercise, and he was showing me proper form, how to do it, and he's still one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
he checks every day that we work together, even if it's only 2 hours, because my shifts changed
Yeah.
to be they're opposite of what his shifts now.
Mm.
So we only have a 2 hour window sometimes to work together. He still comes up to me daily and asks me how I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything? I have coworkers that have been there with me. Besides the 16,000 customers, I had family, friends, 250 coworkers that were rooting for me, that are still rooting for me, and amazed that not only did I survive everything all at once, grouped together, sobriety, quit smoking, battling cancer, battling liver failure, deaths, near deaths, hospitalizations every time I turned around because of the complications from the liver failure,
Yeah.
that I did it with a smile on my face
Yeah.
and
Amazing.
laughter and joking around. I mean, I wore a tutu at work one time. Actually, October of 24 for my birthday, my teenage coworkers bought me a tutu. So I put it on and I wore it from I think it was 4:30 till 10:30.
That's funny. David, let me ask you this. We're almost out of time. What was it like getting that phone call that said, "Hey, we've got a liver for you"?
I cried. I literally cried. I broke down. My knees gave out from underneath me because I had worked so hard to get on that list, and I got on in June, and by the end of December, I was getting my liver, and people to go 3 to 5 years. on the list, and I am very lucky that I did because the second bout of cancer was very aggressive and growing quickly, and I was down to about 10% of my liver function.
Amazing. Surgery had to be done within hours, within a day. How quickly did you have to get to the hospital when you found
They
out you had
called
a
me at
liver?
9:15. It was 9:14. They called me Ohio time, and I landed in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona at 5 a.m., walking into the hospital. And by 6 o'clock, I was on the operating table.
Amazing. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible journey. It's a life that's gone 360 degrees and then 360 degrees again to rediscover a wonderful life, a wonderful second act, a wonderful reason for living. Done it all with a smile on his face. You heard some of the incredible stories here today, folks. There's a lot more in this book. It'll reaffirm your faith. It'll reaffirm your belief in yourself, in the human spirit, and the resiliency of human beings. The name of the book is Stronger Than Before: Surviving Medical Tragedy and Discovering Life's Second Act. In the book, David shares the raw truth about facing terminal illness, overcoming chronic pain, and finding purpose after tragedy. David, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. It was my
Hey,
pleasure.
It's a real pleasure meeting you. God bless you. I'm so happy to see you doing well and thriving. And I'm glad the worst is behind you. And as Frank Sinatra sings, the best is yet to come, without a doubt. God bless you, my friend. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.